All right, what's up, folks? So, the game, the video you're seeing on your screen right now is Dark Cloud 2. It's a PS2 game, came out in 2003. Now, why am I showing you this? You may think I'm not a nerd. I don't play video games. Well, first of all, please don't disrespect people by calling them nerds for playing video games because you have hobbies too. You have guilty pleasures too. And they used to call us nerds from playing video games. And I used to be skinny and I had glasses. I accepted it. But as a 207-pound, 5'10 dark of skin dude that looks like he could punch your heart through your back, I wouldn't accept that anymore. But I wouldn't do anything violent. I would just tell you that, I would just ask you, why do I have to be a nerd because of a hobby of mine? Because you can solve things in an intellectual way as well. But anyway, this is Dark Cloud 2. And it came out in 2003, like I said, so you can see the graphics are primitive. Now, the thing about this game, why am I showing this? I'll tell you. The reason I'm showing you this is very simple. I'm showing you this because this game is a dungeon crawler, which means you go from one dungeon to another, levels and levels and levels of a dungeon, beating up enemies, getting items, and strengthening your characters. It's an RPG, a role-playing game. So you start at level 1, or your skills and stats and stuff, or your parameters are very low, and then you build them up by collecting experience by defeating enemies. Does it look fun? If you don't play video games, you might not think it looks fun. And it's pretty primitive, so like I said, I get it if you think not. However, the crux of this game is this guy, Max, with the hammer or wrench in the gun, is he's got a pendant on. And I'm sorry, let me show Monica again. Where's Monica? Monica is the girl you see fighting with a sword. She has an armlet that allows her to fire magic. He has a gun and a hammer or a wrench. So he can have a wrench and you gain enough experience and you level the wrench up. He has a wrench right there in his hand. You can turn it into a hammer, level it up into different types of weapons. And Monica right there has a gladius. And then she has an armlet that allows her to do magic. Now, Monica and Max are on a mission to save the world. Max is in the present. Monica is from the future. She goes back in time to get him because he is a part of saving the future. Someone is able to manipulate time, and they went back in time in order to get Max and take his pendant from him and kill him. So what the mission is she came back in time to save Max and enlist Max's help in going into the past and changing things in the past to ensure the outcome of the present, to fix the present in order to put the present on the right trajectory for the correct future, if that makes sense. So this game visits past, present, and future. And my question to you guys and gals is, do you understand and have learned enough from your past in order to positively affect your present and in an effort to put your future or your present on the right trajectory to get the future that you're aiming for? Send this message real quick, but let that mull over. Let me say it again, because maybe it sounds a little beat up. I just came up with it though. Have you learned enough from your past, from mistakes, from successes, from failures, lessons, wisdom, to affect your future positively enough in an effort to put your present on the right trajectory to get the future that you desire? Mull it over. All right. So think about that. Now, if you are, whether you're, I don't have anybody on live right now, but in the comments, what I want you to do is give me 3 if you can. If it's too personal, don't share. But share something, if you can think of anything that you have learned from your past to correct now in your present to ensure your present is on the right trajectory for the future that you want. One such thing for me is frivolous spending, which is what we have been dealing with when it comes to Warren Buffett's best friend, Charlie Munger. In the videos that we have been watching the last couple weeks, I think we watched one. The last one was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. But and he says you can never outspend bad habits. So if you're doing stupid stuff with your money, you'll never outsave those. You'll never outdo that stuff. So there's that. One such thing for me is cutting frivolous spending. It's not
Here's how much money you
not
should.
allowing my money to go to stupid stuff. Um, and this is the video I'm gonna play for us today. But I just wanted you. I started with the video game because I used to play that game before I joined the Navy, probably '04, '05. So it was relatively new when I started playing it. And one thing I did, I never finished that video game. That video game is a dungeon crawling RPG, and it probably takes hundreds of hours to beat, um, to collect everything for sure. But in order to beat it, I wouldn't say 40 hours is enough. I would say you probably need um, at least 100 hours, right? Now, let me show you something I figured out at the age of 21 or 22. All right. So 100 hours. All right, come on. Divided by 20. No, I did the wrong thing. No, get rid of it. Where's how do you clear this? Is it AC or CE? I never figured out what AC and CE meant. I just know it would clear. So 100 hours is 4.16 days. So imagine if you just played this game for 4 days straight. And let's say a fifth. So a fifth of the day. So you would play 4 straight days, and on the start of the 5th day, you play until about You play about 4.8 hours. So you play until about 5 in the morning, let's just say. All right. So that's kind of insane, right? Let's say you don't stop for, let's say you drink water, but you don't stop for food. We're not trying for you to die. Most of us in America, if you know, and some first world countries, we have enough stores on us to where we can go without eating 4 days and still be alive. But not to be on a health kick, just get what I'm saying. That's playing for 4 days straight. I don't have that kind of time. I don't want to give that kind of time to this. Everybody has the time. And some people actually do this. I remember when the Xbox first came out. What was it? November 22nd of 2005. Somebody fact check me on that. There was a story of a guy in Korea. Let me see if I can find it. When the Xbox 360 first came out. I'm sorry. I meant the 360. Um oh look, it finished my sentence. Let's see if it finds it. I'm pretty sure it was Korean. Yeah. All right, here we go. Look at this. Y'all see this? Get a gander, get a good glimpse. Um in August 2005, because remember, the a lot of those video games are from overseas, and so they get them first. Because I'm pretty sure the 360 didn't come out until November, but maybe overseas they got them first. They had to. In August 2005, a 28-year-old South Korean man named Lee Sung Sup, Sop, I don't know, died of suspected heart failure after a 50-hour gaming marathon at an internet cafe in Daegu. He played primarily StarCraft with minimal food or sleep, leading to exhaustion. This incident highlighted extreme gaming addiction risks. He was 28, an industrial repairman who recently quit his job. PC Bang was the internet cafe, almost 50 hours of continuous play with brief breaks for sleep and the bathroom. How do you go to sleep at an internet cafe? What do you mean brief breaks for sleep? I bet what he was doing was nodding off while he was playing because his body's like screaming, dude, enough, right? And I think a lot of times our bodies are screaming to us, dude, or look, girl, enough, right? And how many times do we listen to our bodies? This is not about health, but this channel does talk about health and fitness as well. We just Saturday is financial topics, but health as well. So think about it. PC Bang. That made me think. Take PC out. How many of you drink Bangs? How many of you drink Red Bulls, Rock Stars, any of the crazy amounts of caffeinated things that are out there? How many of you consume that stuff, right? And your body might be screaming to you, I'm tired, and you override it by pushing the caffeine button and stimulating the heart anyway. Instead of feeling tired that whole day and just suffering through that day and getting through it and taking your behind home, cutting out everything you can do without doing today and going to bed. We push the override button. So look, police cited heart failure caused severe exhaustion, but I wonder what the coroner would say. Lee was described as a hardcore gamer who often spent nights at cafes, sometimes surviving on ramen, according to Los Angeles Times. So I remember this story This guy is definitely older than me. In 2005, I was definitely not 28. I was actually 19. And I was working at Pathmark, a grocery store, a popular grocery store chain up in. Um, I was working at a popular grocery store chain up in the Northeast called Pathmark. Sorry. Um, that's the wife. She's not here. She's in TJ with her sisters. So she's going to be heading back. Anyway, so I was working at Pathmark and I used to grab the newspaper every day because I wanted to stay informed of what was going on in the world around me. And in some ways, I ended up getting sucked into the newspaper and I had to have it every day. So I spent money on a newspaper, which, if you didn't know, 2005, I think that's when YouTube started, either '05 or '06. I could be wrong. What year did YouTube start? Okay, yeah, 2005. I knew I wasn't wrong. So you can call me old if you want to. That's fine. I was 19. Um, Actually, in February, I was 18. I didn't turn 19 until June. But you get what I'm saying. But I remember grabbing a newspaper and hearing about this because one, the 360 was going to drop. Let me get this right, man. Let me fact check this whole story now. I know I'm not crazy. What happened November 22nd, 2005? Nah, it's going straight into politics. I could be wrong. Maybe it was the 15th. Okay, how about this? When was the Xbox 360 released in America? November 22nd, 2005. An elephant never forgets. Y'all didn't know an elephant could be 5'10, darker skin, with wisdom on his chin. Bars. Okay, so I remember reading about this story. And oh yeah, so look, Japan got it in December, Europe got it December 2nd. Because Microsoft is headquartered in Washington State, I want to say. So I don't know how this Korean dude got this in August. Anyway, I'm telling you, I remembered the story. Okay. So now this guy being a hardcore gamer, these are the ones they think of when you say I play video games in my spare time. They think this. They always think of the extremes. This guy would be a nerd, right? This is the hardcore, don't do anything else after work nerd. But video games and nerd, it kind of has fluctuated now because people watch anime and they're buff and they go to the gym and they're politicians and they're 50 years old, or they come from all kinds of demographics now. It's not just a short glasses wearing intelligent guy from school. Not everybody games. I remember when the 360 came out, I was working at that same store and there was a guy who was like 50 years old already. He worked the overnight shift. I would go to college like 4 to like 10 at night, and I was going to a private school, and then my buddy would drop me off at Pathmark, and then I would go to work, and I'd work from 11 to 7. And then I'd walk an hour. It was 3 miles, and it always took me like 53 minutes if I was really hoofing it, 59 minutes if I was walking at a moderate pace, or like an hour and 5 minutes if I was walking slowly. How do I know that? Because I did it every day for like 2 years. But anyway, so it built character. I remember this story and I remember saying, wow, that's overkill. And you, as you can see, it's 20 years later. It's 20 years later because I'm 39. I still remember this. This is extreme, folks. And so I'm not saying play video games like this. I don't even know why this story was relevant anymore. I'll come back to it. But anyway, brought this video game up because it talked about the past, present, and future, and I wanted to ask you guys that question. And I went way around the world in 80 days, and I don't even remember why I was going to talk about it now. But if it comes to me, we'll get to it. Now, what I want to get to is this. So my brother, he's normally on live. He asked me last week, he told me last week that he was being contacted by a couple of people DMing him saying that they used to invest or they used to be interested in this stuff. They still are, but they kind of fell off. And I guess some of the stuff we're talking about is over their heads, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the basics. And I'm going to start this next week. Next week, we'll talk about some of it this week, but next week, I want to actually really start building some stuff in front of you guys and gals so you can understand that this stuff should not be over your head, number one. And number two, we're going to show you how to do step by step and walk through this stuff. And we're going to start the first thing because we're talking about investing. And I think a lot of people fell out of paying attention to it because their money's not right. Remember, you are your first business. It's the Bryant Enterprises, right? It's the Anderson Corporation. It's the Martin conglomerate. You and your family are your first business, whatever you choose to call it. And here's the thing: a lot of us are trying to, and I used this analogy before, but a lot of us are trying to do advanced stuff without making sure our foundation is set. So that is the craziest thing I've ever heard of. Imagine being Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan or having to fight them, and you are trying to go Liu Kang and do flying bicycle kicks or throw roundhouse kicks like Scorpion, or you're a pugilist trying to throw uppercuts like Mike Tyson, and or trying to do Wing Chun, the rabbit punches. Wing Chun, it was developed by the lady who taught the guy who taught Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan, right? Because she didn't want to marry the guy that her parents wanted her to marry. And he said, okay, if in a year you can beat me in a martial arts contest, you don't have to marry me. And so she did by developing Wing Chun. So here's the thing. It's like trying to do all that advanced stuff. And you, number one, never stretch. So you're not limber. You never learn balance. So all that balancing on a log, and that's advanced balancing. Just balance on one foot. You can't do it for 3 seconds. So you definitely don't know balance. If you're balancing on one leg and somebody push you just this soft, you fall over, and hard too, right? You got to put the foot down. You can't, your muscles are still too shaky. You haven't balanced enough, right? You haven't learned proper stances. So when you go to posture, just a fighting posture, you're not even going to throw a punch or a kick. Your feet are too narrow. So if somebody comes up, okay, I'm just going to push you, you fall over, or you're dancing all over the place trying to catch yourself because you're not in a proper stance. Your hands are down here. So if somebody's fast enough, bam, they hit you in the face, right? Because you're not protecting, your hands should be near your face. Or it depends on whatever your martial art is. Your hands could be open, closed, kind of bent. But it's just, my point is you haven't learned the basics. You haven't learned foundation enough to start trying to do advanced stuff. So I say all that to say this. No, you shouldn't be investing in the stock market if you have not first gotten yourself a budget. You need to know how much money is coming in. You need to know how much you're grossing and how much you are netting. And the difference between gross and net, just so we're not confused, all it is gross means uh, how much you actually earn before taxes. So your full salary or hourly amount before taxes. All right, give you a visual here. And your net is after taxes. Now, to break this down to a science, let's say that you got hired on a salary 80,000 a year. Well, 80,000 would be your salary. I did not spell that right. Your salary amount, right? Net would be what is deposited, gets deposited into your bank account every month. So this is what we're dealing with, right? You need to first know this before you start throwing roundhouse kicks, uppercuts, flying bicycle kicks, Wing Chun rabbit punches or machine gun punches, right? Before doing any of that stuff, you need to do the basics. You're your first business and you need to have your stuff in check. Um, so that's yeah. God dang is right because that's what my brother just jumped on. Let me reply in kind. I always forget about the sound thing, but that's what you need to have. Now, once you know that, well, let me give you an example, okay? I tell you what, let me see if I can do this. We'll put the definition box over here. Let me get a different one. And we'll put this one, the examples, over here. So let's say your salary is for 100. No, let's not use that. Let's use 60,000. Now remember, these are the examples. Salary 60,000. If I don't stop being dyslexic. Actually, a guy I met at the DMV. Okay, let me tell you this quick story. A guy I met at the DMV. I wear my shirts wherever I go. I do not that loud blue shirt I just got. I wore that one to the DMV yesterday. So I've been very busy over here. So I haven't dropped a lot of shorts or anything lately. I'm gonna get back on it. But for the past 2 weeks, I've been very busy. I was shopping around for motorcycles. I actually bought one on Monday, and I went all the way to the dealership to buy it. It's like an hour and a half from here because there was a lot of traffic. I think it's only like 50 minutes because it's mostly highway miles, so it goes by very quickly if there's no traffic. But I bought it, I purchased it, got my bill of sale, got registration, all of that, and then I brought it back. And then this past week, I was going to go to the DMV for three things. I had to renew my Civics, which is a red hot 2013 coupe. It's got that 2.4 liter engine in it, and they don't make that anymore. So I love my Civic. But I had to re-register the Civic. I had to register the motorcycle, and I had to take the test to get my permit to be able to even ride my motorcycle on surface streets. Now, with the permit for a motorcycle, because I'm over 21, I can ride on surface streets, but I can't have passengers. Why would you do that if you need to learn, right? Makes sense. You can't ride on highways. Why would you do that if you're trying to learn? And you can't ride at night. Only makes sense, right? So I went to the DMV yesterday and I got my permit. I failed the test twice because it told me in the beginning, you can skip questions, but it said that the questions would pop up at the end. So I was like, well, shoot, I might as well guess them now. So I wasn't skipping questions. And when I failed it twice, it said you only get 3 attempts, and then you have to redo the application fee, which was like $47. I'm like, all right, look, God, I was praying the whole time too. I failed the first one, and I was like, oh shoot, it says study the book. I gotta come back a different day. It sucks. So then it was like, do you want to take any more additional tests? And I was like, yes. And then it asked the driving test or motorcycle test. And I was like, motorcycle test. And I was like, please load, please load, please load. And it loaded. And I was like, oh, it didn't tell me what I scored either. So I didn't know. I only missed like 5. So I was like, maybe 6. So I was like, okay, maybe I can only miss 5. I failed the next one. Maybe I can only miss 4. I ain't trying to miss any. But anyway, the third time I tried it, it gave me a lot of repeat questions from the first and second one. And I was like, yes, that was like 80% of them. And so I got them right. Um, and if you click continue and it didn't tell you it was wrong, it was correct. I found that out the hard way the first time because I went through like 6 of them and it never told me nothing. And I was guessing, and then it said, you got this wrong. And I was like, ooh. Anyway, long story short, I skipped a question that I just didn't know, and I took a chance on that. And then the question never surfaced again. It said, congratulations, you passed. And I was like, oh, so whether I or not I was going to get that one right or wrong, I was going to pass anyway. So I got my permit. I re-registered the Civic, but I got to go to the dealership again because the guy did the bill of sale wrong. He put his name and signed it under his name, but the auction they bought it from, they purchased it under his dealership's LLC. And so he should have countersigned it with his dealership LLC so he could do that, or he should have put his dealership LLC, seeing as how he's the owner. So I got to go back over there today. But the Blacksmith now is a motorcyclist. I have a nice helmet. Let me see. Let me show y'all that. So this is the bag it's in. What's in here? So this is going to be my Bluetooth device. It's going to go inside the helmet. I've got some gloves to wear, and they've got knuckle protection. See, the Blacksmith, I'm not old. I'm not aging out of doing new stuff. Like, I'm always doing new stuff, man. And this is the hood to put on in case like it's cold outside, or just in case. And I'm going to do this. I have 2 of them, and they're both white. They won't be for long because I'm brown and I sweat a lot of brown. And my skin cells are brown. I'm going to put this on regardless so I'll put on a wave cap to tie down my hair, and then I'll put this on because I don't want helmet hair. But I don't want to sweat inside my helmet and have to always take the padding out and wash it and stuff, because after a while you'll wear out the Velcro. But if I do this, I won't have to do that as much, right? So I'll sweat inside this, so I just wash that. But anyway, let's get to the unveiling. So the Blacksmith does not just do the same old, same old. So here's my helmet. As you can see, it's new. Or I've been riding like an idiot with my eyes covered. I haven't been doing that. I just got the permit yesterday, so I can't ride the motorcycle. And I'm going to take a U-Haul to go pick it up today because I haven't passed the practical test yet, because the DMV is all backed up for practical tests, which I heard is super simple. You just have to ride through like 5 cones, swerve in between 5 cones. So low speed turns. So they're not that far spaced out, maybe a foot, 2 feet, and you just go in between them, and then you hit this point where you start going in a circle at a low speed turn, and you got to do it for 2 laps and not go outside the lines, and you pass. So that's all you have to do to pass it. But if you're not ready to ride a motorcycle, don't do it, because it could be a death trap. You're already invisible to cars and stuff. But anyway, that's what I've been busy with this week. Um, so I've got stuff to do as soon as I stop the show. All right, getting back to it though. Let's say your salary is $60,000. This then is your gross pay. Now, let's say after taxes, you get, I didn't put the dollar sign, but y'all know this is money. 45,000 deposited. This is your net pay. It's as simple as that. If you don't know these two right here, do not start investing. It's not for you yet. And it's not to say don't invest. Did you hear the yet at the end? It was ... yet. I do a lot of that in the scripts that I write when they're trying to put emphasis on something, right? Don't start in. Look, if you don't know this, don't invest until you do. Easy? I think so. Don't invest until you do. Okay, now, here's the second thing that you need before you start investing, right? Now you know what you gross, what your overall salary or hourly income comes to with no overtime. Don't account for overtime in what you normally make. So now that's salary. So this is the example box, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this and move it next to this. So the first one is our definitions. The second one is examples. We're going to do a third one here. And the third one is going to be, I'm going to put it under here. This third one is going to be, I just lost what it was supposed to be. What was I going to talk about? What's coming in and going out? All right. Well, the second, I don't remember, but it was important. But the second thing you need to not do before you invest is this. So that's number one. Let's go back up and say number one. All right. Now this is number two. Number two, you must know debt to income. Well, yeah, this is DTI. Let's go DTI so I don't forget. But you need to know net versus debt. Bars. Net versus debt. Just came up with that. Johnny on the spot. I know. I'm good. I'm just kidding. All right. So you need to know your net versus your debt. Now, you would already know your net. See how we're going in steps, right? So in martial arts, you start stretching first. That's the first thing you do is work on your flexibility, right? Because if you have very tight tendons or ligaments, then your joints won't be able to open up like it's supposed to get your, and I'm gonna embarrass myself. No, I'm just playing. But to get you on one foot and to get your hip cocked in the air enough so that you can either side kick out, right? Or snap kick up in the air. And I can't do it. You saw that? It's not because I'm old. I never had that kind of flexibility because I never stretched like that, right? But at 39, you can even get that. You just need to start stretching. But I can still touch my toes or put all 10 of my fingers on the floor, my fingertips like this. I can put my palms flat on the floor, but not for long. Because I do stretch and I am limber. I'm just not as flexible as a martial artist or a gymnast. I never stretched to that level. But you can always do that. You can be 50 years old and you can get your joints to where they will stretch out like that. Just got to do it. So, step 2 builds off of step 1. Now you know your salary in step 1, and now you know your net. Forget the salary. Step 2, we're going to use your net. And now we're going to add another component, and that's the debt, right? And what I mean by debt, this is not definition. So, yes, it is. Excuse me. Let's put it up here. What I mean by debt is not the total amount of. Yes, I do. Okay, so the first thing is the total amount owed, period. The total amount owed. I guess I don't have to say period. I can just put one there. So your total amount owed to everybody. If you own a credit card, what's the balance? Because that's what you still owe. Oh, it's only $500. And that's the only credit card you have? Yes. You sure? Yes. The only one I ever opened. What do you owe on your car? I paid it off last month. So you have a zero balance. They're sending you the title. Yes. You sure? Yes. What else do you owe on? Nothing. Your debt is $500, right? Now that's debt owed to lenders. What I'm talking about is monthly expenses. I can't make it any more simple than this. Look, monthly expenses is the total amount of money owed out each month that takes away from your net pay every month. I said month twice, but I don't want anybody to be able to misconstrue this, right? So we're going to get to building a budget next week. But what I want you to understand is that in order to get to investing, there's steps to this, and you need to do this first, right? Um, so I guess in this step, we're doing two different things. I can make it a third step if you guys really want, but really number 2 is knowing your debt to income ratio, and that is all encompassing in what I'm talking about, your net versus your debt. So that means that over here, debt is the total amount owed, but it's also monthly expenses. So let's do this. Your net pay minus, don't give a space, monthly. Oh, there we go. Expenses, this should not be capitalized, but whatever, equals, what do I want to call this? What do we want to call this? What you have left over? Expendable money. I'll just say most people live paycheck to paycheck. So I'm trying to find a good way to put this. It'd be the balance left in your checking account, because most people don't have savings. Well, not enough to survive 1 month without a paycheck, typically. And that's not a diss. That's the truth. Let's just call it the leftover money, because I don't want to call it expendable, because I don't want you to think spend it, right? or that it doesn't matter. Right. So now you need net versus debt in the second step bars. Um, to determine your DTI, so the second step is really DTI, your debt to income ratio. You need your net versus debt, which means you need the total amount owed to every lender. You need your monthly expenses, and then you need to take your net pay minus your monthly expenses. And then that gives you your leftover money. Now, your leftover money, we're going to build off of in step 3, but we're not there yet. How do you determine your debt to income ratio? All right. And I'm using Gemini just so y'all can see how easy this is. How do you determine your DTI, debt to income ratio? Okay, you divide your total monthly debts by your gross monthly income. They're saying use gross. Me personally, I would use net because I'm going to tell you right now, if you use your gross monthly income, it's going to look better than if you use your net, and it's not giving you a realistic picture. What is the point of DTI? I understand that's how they said do it, but what's the point of DTI? The point of DTI is knowing where you stand, right? Now, do you want pinpoint accuracy, or do you want to cover your eyes and throw it, and if it lands somewhere on the board, you're somewhere in the area? Most people want pinpoint accuracy. They want that bullseye. So if you really want to know where you stand with your DTI, utilize your net, because it is going to be the ugly truth. Because that $15,000 you pay in taxes, you're not going to see that money, and it's not usable. So for me, I would utilize your net. But let's up this to 48,000. And I'm going to tell you why. It's just easy math. Because if you do, that's easy to compute. That's $4,000 even a month that you get deposited into your bank account. That's why I'm upping it. Let's say you don't live in California, because it probably would be 45 or 43,000. Let's say you live in Florida, or one of those leisure states, or states that allow you to bring home most of your money. They're not overtaxing you. I love you, California, but I don't have to love everything you do. All right, so your debt to income ratio. So let's say, now let's get back to it. Where is it? Total monthly debt by total gross income. We'll do both, right? We'll do both. So where's the calculator? So your gross income is $5,000 a month. So if you were to have, it's the debt first. Okay, so let's say you had $1,000 of monthly expenses. You would divide that by $5,000, and your debt to income ratio monthly is 20%. But again, I don't want to use the gross, because you'll never see that money. You're bringing home 48,000 a year, not 60. So watch how this changes now. So if you gross 5,000, so the difference in 60 to 48 is only 12,000. That's 1,000 a month. So if you're bringing home 5,000 a month gross, if you gross 5,000 a month, that means you're bringing home 4,000. Easy math, right? So now you have $1,000 monthly income. Monthly expenses, and then you divide it by $4,000 because that's what you net, what you bring home. Boom, your debt to income is really 25%, not 20%. Now, it didn't change much because you don't have much debt. You're good, right? You are good. But now let's watch this. If you have $3,000 divided by your gross, you're 60% over leveraged, right? Watch how this changes. $3,000 divided by $4,000, you are 75% leveraged. See that? That's why I'd rather use net, because it shines a pinpoint laser on where you actually are, not use a flashlight with a big circle, you know? Why do I hear a phone? It's got to be my 12-year-old. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. So your debt to income ratio, you have to first know what your debt to income ratio is. Now, since this is the example box, let's use gross first. So here's the example. You bring home 5,000, it'd be $1,000 debt. Where's my division button? Come on. I'll just use that because that you can use that and it works. Divided by 5,000. Well, we know what it is because I put gross up there. And that will equal 20% is your debt to income ratio. You are good. You are fantastic. And you know what that also means? Well, I'm jumping the gun. Let me do net. Net just trying to do it the same way. All right, so now the debt doesn't change, right? So now we know that's the debt. Divided by 4,000. Oh, I'm not putting commas. It's okay. Y'all know this is money. Equals 25%. Okay? There's the difference. Now, what does this mean? That then means that you have a whopping $3,000 left over. You know what that means? You have a lot of money that you can save, invest. Now, I'm hoping, well, this is assuming that you don't have an IRA, actually, because if your salary is 60 grand and what's getting deposited is 48, well, let's put the IRA in there. That means you're living in a state with minimal taxes, actually. If we assume, let's assume this person has an IRA. Let's assume they're putting at least 10% would be 6,000. That'd be 54,000. And then they will have 6 grand in taxes. Let's say this person's situation is lovely. They have an IRA, which is investing, actually. No, let's not give them an IRA. No IRA. They have no IRA. Yeah. They're not investing at all because I said these are steps to get to investing. IRA is investing. All right. So this person doesn't invest at all. Hopefully this person is young. Hopefully this person is like no older than 25, right? So this person doesn't have an IRA. They don't have a savings certificate. They don't have any stock portfolio. They don't have any of that stuff. They just work their job, save their money, right? If your expenses look like this, you look fantastic for investing. You can start investing, right? But we're going to walk through the first thing you need to do, the levels of investing in 2 weeks. That's what we're going to do then. The first thing we were going to do is build up to what you have to have in order to invest. So you need to know The next one, I say step three, is you need to know how much money you have left over for the month, because this is your money that you need to, once all of your monthly expenses are done, watch this. This is your money to invest with, or pay yourself first, right? So that is investing, savings, entertainment, etc. This is your swipe on Amazon and spontaneous buy stuff money. That's what this is, right? But remember, assets over liabilities. So if we want to build somebody who makes good decisions, $3,000 is, you can do a lot with $3,000 left over. This person probably lives at home or lives with a sibling. Um, Somebody's letting them have an apartment for free, uh, something, because they're not paying rent. If they're paying rent, oh, or they live in a apartment the size of my studio, which honestly, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're a single person. You don't need, you should only be paying for what you need, how much apartment or living space that you actually need. Well, this doesn't have all the space for all my Jordans. Excuse me? Why do you have so much Jordans you need an extra closet? There we go right there. But be honest. If that's what you would say, come talk to me. I'm gonna show you what them Jordans could be in a stock portfolio. I'm gonna show you what it could be in an IRA. I'm gonna show you what you're missing out on. If you say, well, I got more clothes than that, how much clothes do you need? Because watch this. I'm active duty. So Monday through Friday, I'm in a uniform. And you know what? I get up and I drive to base in gym clothes, because so okay, suffice it to say, and I usually work out 6 times a week. So suffice it to say, I need 5 pairs of gym clothes. If I'm only going to do laundry once a week, Monday through Friday, I wear gym clothes and then I change into my uniform. When I get home, I just wear leisure stuff like sweats and one of my t-shirts and maybe a muscle shirt, some socks. Um, but if I was gonna go to a restaurant or if I were gonna go out to the store, I wouldn't wear my sweats. I put on a pair of jeans. I still leave everything else the same, but I put on a pair of jeans. I just don't like going out in sweats unless I'm going to the gym. And even then, I have a pair of shorts underneath, because if I start like sweating, I just take those off. But suffice it to say, I don't need much in the way of a wardrobe for like going outside of the house, because I'm in a uniform Monday through Friday. Saturday, Sunday is the only day. So, like, maybe I have 8 pairs of jeans, 2 pairs of jorts, and I guess I have a bunch of t-shirts because I have a bunch of my own. I had some American Eagle, uh some of those t-shirts. American Eagle, maybe I have 8 of those. I have a lot of these because I have nice shirts for wearing on camera, and I have a second set of shirts for the gym. So I have a red shirt for camera, red shirt for the gym. So it's a little more worn and faded and stuff. But anyway, you don't need much. So if you're paying for only what the amount of space you need, because you're not trying to impress anybody, right? You're not trying to impress girls. You're not trying to impress people by living in a mansion that you can't afford. What's the point of living in a mansion and being house poor? This is a conversation, folks. Um, if you netted 4,000 a month and you're spending 3,900, you are house poor. Or you're broke. They call it house poor if you own a home, like if you have a mortgage, you're house poor. But you could be house poor in an apartment you're not buying. So that would, to me, that'd be even worse, because if you're spending as much as somebody with a mortgage, but you don't have a mortgage and you have the same debt to income ratio and the same amount of money left over, I would say you should probably be in an apartment, because if something breaks in the house, you have to fix it. You don't have the money to fix it. if you're in a home versus if you're buying an apartment. Because let's say your sink clogs up, your garbage disposal's not working, you can call the repair guy in an apartment and it won't cost you anything unless you did it, right? But in your house, you have to fix that. You have to go to Home Depot and fix it yourself. So you better become handy. I'm warning you now. If you want to own a home, or you call American Home Shield or whoever your home warranty is with, and you usually they charge $75 just to come out. Uh, so there's that. Anyway, this person right here can start investing. Now, chat, is there anything else you would say this person would need before they can start investing? They know their salary versus their net. They know their debt to income ratio. They know how much debt. Chat, I just asked if you can look at this person and think of anything else they would need before they can start investing. They know their salary, so their gross. They know their net. They know their debt to income ratio. They know how much debt they owe, period. Their grand total debt. They know how much their monthly expenses are, and they know how much leftover money they have. Is there anything else you would tell if this was Calvin Jenkins? Is there anything else you would tell Calvin Jenkins or Mark Twain? I don't know. That was stupid. Or Scott Brown. There's three guys. They're all the same numbers. What would you tell these guys they need left if this is what they were looking like? First of all, incredible debt to income ratio. This is great. This is the number one thing plaguing Americans today. Is that debt to income ratio is way too high. But what else would you tell this person? What's the chat talking about? If one more person calls me while I'm on this live, hey man, something hit. Slush fund for emergencies and what that looks like based on what you make. They should have at least 6 months to 1 year saved up. So you're saying that they should have, you would tell them right now, if this was their situation, to do this same thing for 6 months before they start investing. Yes? Is that what you're saying? And then you said, are we assuming that they are saving the leftover money in like a savings account? I'm saying, what would you tell them before? We're not assuming anything. This is their first month making this money. This is their first month making this money. What would you tell them if they came to you and said, I want to start investing? What would you tell them? Have enough to cover being jobless for 6 months. I agree. But I'm just saying, what would y'all say? And that's what you would say. So you're saying if this was month one of them earning $60,000 in salary, netting $48,000, and this was their debt to income ratio, and this was their leftover money. Yes or no? Are you saying tell them to do this for at least 6 months before investing? I'm guessing he is saying yes to this because that's what I'm just assuming. That's what I mean. He's literally saying it right now. Jobless for 6 months. He's saying yes. I'm more or less asking JT if he agrees with it, or I'm trying to see what he's talking about. But and I'm trying to see what he's gonna say before I give my due diligence on it. Is this is a conversation that needs to be had. Too many people are actually in this Discord group, but they're not here on Saturdays. And I think I always thought it. Maybe this stuff is just over their head, or maybe this stuff is they think that they're not ready to start yet. or they don't know where to start. So again, it's on YouTube, folks. I have the basics covered in a playlist. It's called The Basics. But for these lives, we're gonna go back to ground, the floor one or ground zero, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna go back to basics, and this is as basic as I can literally make it. You have to know this stuff before you start investing. Now, one of my brothers is saying you need to do this for 6 months. So if you net, and actually, if you think about it, if you're going to have 6 months worth of savings, then you need to probably do this for, so 6 months times 4,000 is 24 grand. So if you save 3,000 leftover money for 6 months, that's only 18 grand. You would actually have to save for 8 months that same amount to have 6 months worth of savings. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm talking about? Because think about it. 6 months worth of savings would be what you net times 6 months. And that would equal 24K. But you only have $3,000 worth of leftover money every month. So that would be 3,000 times 6 would only equal 18K. So you need an extra 2 months, because one more month would be 21K. One more month after that would be 24K. So you actually need, this is not divided by, you actually need 8 months worth of saving. That, in order to equal that, you need to save for 8 months to equal 6 months worth of your net. Do y'all understand that? And that's what the chat is saying. Y'all, man, what are you typing, a book? You've been typing for a minute. Or are you deleting it and then typing something else? I'm trying to wait on you. All right, so the chat, I'm going to guess he agrees. Oh, okay, here we go. Then I would tell them to open a savings account and save 6 months worth of their leftover money. I agree with Ramza. And then the next month start investing. Month 7 to be exact. No, it'd be month 9. Month 9. He was typing this for a while though. Month 7 to be exact. So that would be saving $3,000 for 6 months. And then month 7, start investing. If your bills and expenses are $1,000 a month, you want at least 6 months worth of income saved up. And again, he was typing this for a while before I said this. It'd be month 9, because as we already found out, if you save $3,000 for 6 months, you're only partly to the 24K, right? If you divide each of these by 6, this would be 3, this would be 4. So you're 3/4 of the way there. So you need an extra 2 months worth of savings in order to equal 6 months worth of your income. Now, is that? Y'all know what I'm saying? All right. So I get what he's getting at though, but it's actually 8 months worth of you saving to get 6 months worth of your income. Now, month 9, you can start investing. All right. Now, we know, so this guy right here, after 8 months, month 9 is good to go on investing, right? Now, here's the thing. He may be good to go, but that doesn't mean start investing right away. Obviously, with this 6 months, you're going to need to educate yourself on what investing is and what investing looks like and what all investment types of investments are out there, right? And that's where you tune into the Blacksmith podcast on Saturdays to learn. You jump into Discord throughout the week. You can ask questions. You can ask questions galore. You say, okay, you didn't say other than financial. What do you mean? I didn't say other than financial. Well, yeah, I know. I'm saying that this is obvious. The education piece that they need. You don't jump into anything before you do your research. You shouldn't. You shouldn't buy a PS5 without knowing. If you have a PS4 and the PS5 comes out, do you just go up and buy it? The answer is yes for 80% of people. But the frugality of it all is, what do I get out of the PS5 that I'm not getting out of the PS4? Just because it's new? I don't care. Just because it's new doesn't mean it's for you. Well, I could just trade this so it wouldn't be a total. I could keep this one and pay $1,800, whatever they cost. I could pay $700 to get the PS5. Or, they giving $400 for the PS4, so I could trade that in, and now it's only $300, so it's a great deal. But what are you getting out of the PS5 that you're not getting out of your PS4? You bought that one new, and you had a PS3. What did you get out of the 4 that you didn't get out of the 3? And we can walk this all the way back, right? So yeah, there are different games that are for the 5 that's not for the 4. But here's the thing. Does your eye really notice every little piece of speck of resolution, or what 1080p? Do you notice the difference between that and whatever the one before it was? Like, is it that serious? Now, I can understand Final Fantasy VII with their polygon, octagon arms and squared off graphics versus the PS4 Final Fantasy VII Remake. I get that. But that's PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. There's several generations of consoles here. But console to console, if it's new, that doesn't mean it's for you. If it's new, it shouldn't be for you. If a stock is brand new, you shouldn't be buying IPOs, because most of y'all don't do research enough to know that I know what this company's about, I know where they're headed, I know, and you can know all of that. But do you know that when most companies IPO, that's when it's open to the public? The private sector, they've been open for 5 years or 10 years already, or 2 years, and they bought those shares at 80 cents per share, and you're going to buy it for $40 per share. And what's going to happen is you're going to help run it up a little bit. And it's basically launching off of Vicarious, an F-18. It launches off, goes up the ramp, and the engine fails, and it goes right into the water. Now, that sucks, but that does happen sometimes. But that's what a stock is like. It's going to run up and fall down. You know why? Because the people who invested at 80 cents per share are going to dump all their shares when you run it up to $48 or $50 per share, and they're going to run off with hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, millions, tens of millions, and you're going to be there. What do you call it, Ramza? What do we call that? Where they dump their, you become their leverage? Is that what it is? I can't remember. Rug pull. That's the rug pull. So if it's new, it's not for you. You shouldn't be buying new IPOs. You shouldn't be buying new technology. Because you know why? When that technology is new, you're going to pay the highest price for it, period, bar none, right? When the Teslas first came out, they were much more expensive than they are right now. And the technology was worse. They didn't have all of the features that they have now, that they've been out for years. The batteries were not as efficient. So you're going to buy the new technology and not understand it all and not get the best out of it. And you're going to pay full price for it. And you're going to be somebody's rug pull. So it doesn't matter what it is. You shouldn't be buying it brand new. Who gives a crap? Now, I understand if you want to play the new Call of Duty, because everybody's going to run from this Call of Duty and grab the new one and start using the new one, playing the new one. I understand something like that. But one $70 video game is not going to break the bank. And if it does, you shouldn't be buying it. Have fun playing the stuff that you already have, and you need to have some more financial discipline, maybe a little less time playing that and a little more time working, right? So, think about it like that. Let's say you're hourly, right? And you have $400 left over or $100 left over for the month on a 40-hour work week, right? but you can work 80 hours if you wanted to, right? And a new video game comes out and you got that $100. You know what they would say? Oh, I can afford it. Swipe. It's only $70. Now I got $30 left over. Well, you got gas, food, all of that. If that wasn't added into all of the stuff that you have for the month, let's say it was, you accounted for everything, entertainment, everything, and this video game comes out. You got $100 left over. You know what you should do? Instead of swiping and buying that new video game, you should find out what you make hourly. Let's say it's $15 an hour, but let's say after taxes, you only make $12 an hour. You should also know that. Break your salary, your hourly wage down to your net per hour. And you can find that out too, because your gross is 5,000, your net is 4,000. Break that down. That's a month. So break that down, divide that by what, 160, 40 hours a week, and that'll tell you what you're actually netting every hour, right? Figure out what you net per hour and then go work those extra hours, and then you can buy that video game. See, most of y'all don't have that in you. Y'all didn't even catch what I said right there. That sounded like Greek. That sounded like hieroglyphics on the wall. But that's the responsible thing to do. Just because you have the money in your bank account does not mean you can afford it. Yeah, most people will say the graphics. It make you sick. It make me sicker. All right, folks. So that's the show today. So if you didn't catch it, this is everything or most of the stuff that financially that a guy or a person needs to do before they start investing. And let me move the screen over so you can see the whole thing. Take a snapshot of this, screenshot it if you want. So you can screenshot me looking my best, get my good side. If you screenshot it. I'm gonna upload this on YouTube, and I want y'all to do me a favor. Share this out to as many people as possible. Bring 2, 3 people into the Discord if you can, because next week we are going to start the basics of investing. Now, we already started building the foundation. So houses should not be built without a foundation. They shouldn't be built just on the grass, right? Even the Bible tells you way back then, the man who built his house on sand, when the storm came and the seas raged and the wind beat upon the house fell, and great was the fall of the house. And if he was in it, he's now dead, or he ain't happy, right? But if you built your house on a foundation of solid rock, ergo nowadays we put cement down on top of the ground to build the house on top of that. When I said the house fell and he's probably dead. These guys with the soundboard, man, I tell you. We build the house on the cement. Why do we do that? Because if the house is going to sink it's going to sink on the cement, not sink down into the dirt. Because if it's sinking down into the cement, it's cemented, it's locked. It's not going to go unevenly into the ground. It's going to go level into the ground if it sinks at all. So your house is going to remain level if it sinks, right? But if it sinks and it's not on cement, this part dips because it's heavier and this part isn't, your roof is going to start splitting. Your walls are going to start tearing, not all at once, but it'll start breaking apart. The beams in your house and stuff like that. That's why you build it on a foundation. And if I look at the mudslides, look at earthquakes, when they come and you don't have a foundation, your house is gone. And if y'all are in it, you're all dead. I'm sorry. Whether you're I couldn't even say it. Hopefully you're upstairs, because if you're upstairs, you're falling downstairs. And if the walls and beams are splitting and stuff, you're getting torn up, falling on stuff, and it's just a bad day. And if you're downstairs, good night. That's like getting put into a car compactor and you're in the trunk. You're getting squished. So anyway, I didn't mean for it to sound like my brother JT here, his favorite anime, Attack on Titan, where they just crunching and eating and squishing guts and stuff. But he likes it, so who am I to judge out loud? I'll judge him inside my head. But what I'm saying is that this is what you need, the basics. This is what you need before you can get to investing. Now we know there's education on what type of investments you're gonna need, and this also, number two, takes care of the budget. But we're going to break down the budget is actually in number two. So I should say debt to income ratio slash budget. But we're going to get to what a budget looks like next week. All right. I hope y'all have a great week. And I hope y'all do put as many comments on YouTube as you want to. Bring people to the Discord. Share that video on YouTube out to any and everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and edit it and upload it, and I'll share it to Discord. So all y'all have to do is click the link inside of there. But the Forge is going cold, and I will see y'all here next week. Y'all have a lovely week.